Good afternoon. My name is Corey Jones, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the immigration policy of the United States and why it needs to be reformed. Now, let me set the scene. Imagine you're living overseas. It's a time of war. Your life and your family's life is in imminent danger every day. Or your government is crooked. Or even worse, you're at the bottom of the financial barrel. You don't know when your next meal is gonna be. You need some type of opportunity. You need some type of financial gain, right? And you hear about all the opportunities and the American dream and all the things that your life could be over in the United States. You're gonna take that chance, right? That's the reality for a lot of people that travel over to the United States. Just to get here and be turned away because of their race, because of where they come from, because of their culture, and etc. They're turned away. They're separated from their families. They're beaten. They're starved. And overall treated like criminals. Incarcerated even. And this is all due to this outdated, inhumane, and inconsistent U.S. immigration policy. Now today, we're going to get into the racist history of the policy, the tragedies that happen under this immigration policy, why immigration policy and reform is necessary, and then we're also going to get into some of the opposing points about immigration policy reform and why it doesn't stand, right? So from the beginning, in the opening of Ellis Island in the 1800s to the Chinese Exclusion Act of 1882, right? The Ellis Island, when that opened, it let in over 12 million European immigrants into the United States with zero problems, right? But the first real policy to come into play was the Chinese Exclusion Act. And that was the first policy that stopped a specific race from coming into the United States. And the reason why is because there were a lot of Chinese immigrants coming into the United States and the Americans didn't like it. They didn't like it so much to where they started burning down their businesses, burning down houses, and just resulting to violence. And it got so bad that Congress had to pass this policy to halt any specific race of Chinese coming into the United States for their own safety. Right. That was the first policy. That was the first one, right? And that was all according to National Archives of 2020. Furthermore, there was the Immigration Act of 1924, where there were racial quotas that had to be met, and those were favoring Northeastern Europeans. And this was also at a time of war. So if you think about it, this quota or this policy stopped any person who was not a Northeastern European from coming into the United States. If that's not racist, if that's not rubbing you wrong morally, I don't know what is. Because there's no way you're gonna stop all these different people, especially in a time of war, refugees seeking a place to stay, a place to call home. You're gonna kick them out or keep them on the outside and watch them hurt, right? And this was all according to Congressional Research Service in 2022. Now, the system is not just racist. There are many other flaws to it, such as family separation crisis, where over 5,000 children were separated from their families. Now, we're not even just talking about people not being able to get into the United States. We're talking about people coming here with their families and being split up for months on end, maybe even years. And also, when you try to get into the United States, it's almost like a waiting list. We call it legal backlogs, with over 4 million people being stuck trying to get green cards, and they're in detainment while waiting. This is like you trying to escape from your country at a time of war, and you getting to the United States and them telling you, you gotta wait. You have to wait. Because of us, because of our messed up policies, we have 4 million people ahead of you, and you're just gonna have to wait. You and your family are gonna have to figure out a way to survive, but you're just gonna have to wait until we get to you. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's not right. It's not right at all. Not to mention, undocumented immigrants contribute 11.7 billion in state and local taxes, according to the Institute on Taxation and Economic Policy in 2017. Also, many work essential jobs like construction and agriculture. So this is just saying that the immigrants that come over here, they're not even benefiting off of the taxes that they pay. They don't get welfare checks like we do. They don't have allowances or, places that they're just being able to stay. All they get when they come here is freedom, a job, and opportunity. That's it. That's the only 3 things that they come for. That's the only 3 things that they come for. They don't come for anything else, and they pay maybe not as much as you do, but they pay. They pay nonetheless. Now, if that wasn't enough to convince you, maybe the fact that immigrants made up 18.1% of the workforce in 2022, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, or that they contribute over $2 trillion to GDP, according to Immigration Council in 2023, not to mention 1 in 4 doctors in the U.S. are foreign born, meaning me and 3 other people. Matter of fact, even if you brought a group of people and you wanted to see their doctors, I guarantee you probably over 50% of the group have foreign-born doctors. And that's something. That's saying that the immigrants that are here, they play a way bigger role than what we think. And also, even past that, if you open up, if we do this reform, right, and we open up the borders more or make it easier for immigrants to come in, there's no telling how well the U.S. is going to prosper even more. 1 in 4 of these people are foreign-born doctors. There's no telling what the limit is with if we let more in, Some may say that reform encourages illegal immigration some say reform encourages illegal immigration, but according to the Cato Institute in 2022, countries with more legal pathways see fewer illegal crossings. And that just makes sense, right? If we made it easier to get into America legally, and we made easier pathways, there's less of a reason to even get in illegally. Like I touched on, we have backlogs with 4 million people on a waiting list. You would want to jump the fence too. You would want to jump the fence too. There's no way you're waiting for 4 million people and they're trying to send you back home where your home isn't even a home anymore. Your home is a war map, you know? Or some may say reform undermines border security. But border security reform can coexist with smart tech. And that's just saying, instead of us having soldiers, right? Instead of us having soldiers at the border waving guns in these people's faces that are just refugees looking for a place to stay, all of that can be minimized with more smart tech security. Now, I'm no politician or pro by any means, but I can tell just how you can that the policy is racist. The system is racist and deeply flawed, right? We need to push for easier path to citizenship, one, protection for dreamers, faster and fair legal processes, no more backlogs, and humane treatment for asylum seekers. No more inhumane stuff. No more people getting put in cages and not fed for weeks on end, and children being separated from their mothers and fathers. No more of that. We don't need any more of that. That's not making anyone want to come to America anymore. And you may ask, what can I do to change this? What you can do is you can get involved. You can call elected officials. You can support groups like ACLU, National Immigration Forum, and most of all, you can vote with your moral compass, your moral beliefs, and your values. And you can get out to these polls and vote and make a difference. Do your research on certain politics and whatnot and vote. Make your voice heard. I'm going to leave you with this. America has always said, give me your tired, your poor, your huddled masses. How about we live to that? Immigration reform isn't about policies. It's about living up to the promises of who we are. That's all I have for you. Thank you.